About an hour north of Winnipeg, there's a small town called Gimli, with a population of approximately 2,400 people. Every year, the town holds their annual Icelandic Festival. Thousands of people come to see the famous pier and Viking village recreation. I've been coming here since I was a kid, and it wasn't until this year that I thought to myself, why? Why are there so many Icelandic people here? Not just a lot, but the most Icelandic people outside of the main island. It's time for a history lesson. Let me take you back to the 1870s. Iceland has a population of around 70,000 people at this time. Most of them are farmers and fishermen. Life is difficult, but it's about to get more difficult. In 1875, a volcano in the center of the island erupts. The ensuing clouds and soot caused a massive food shortage and the most significant immigration of Icelandic people in history. By my best research, it seems about 15,000 to 20,000 people left the island for a new life, mostly going to Canada. So in the 1870s, the federal government was setting up reserves all over the country. One of these reserves was in the northern corner of the new province, Manitoba. It's here that some 200 Icelandic people set up New Iceland. In the following years, the town would rename to Gimli and be a cornerstone of the fishing industry during Western expansion. And that brings us to today. About 40% of the population still has some Icelandic heritage, and many speak the language, although the most common language now is English. Me and the family went down to enjoy some of the festivities this year. When you walk into the town, the first thing you see is this pavilion, where you can enjoy some local bands and food. But the real fun is on the pier. The pier is filled with hundreds of paintings that tell the story of the town. At the end of the pier, you can see the lighthouse in the opening of the bay. Before I came, I found this old picture of the lighthouse and tried my best to recreate it with my own camera. It's not the original lighthouse because in the winter of 1943, the lighthouse was pushed over by an ice buildup, but the top of the original lighthouse is kept near the pavilion on the shore. I actually ended up going down this rabbit hole while looking for old photos and found this old photo of this fishing boat docked at the Gimli Pier. This photo is from 1917 and you can see the original lighthouse in the back. Here's the same boat under construction in 1910 and you can see what I assume is the old St. Boniface Cathedral in the background before it burned down in 1968. After the pier, we went to grab some food. There aren't really any options for Icelandic food, but there are tons of food trucks. We sat down and got some hot dogs, and you gotta stay hydrated when you're out here. Every year, the festival holds this strongman competition. If you don't know, that guy right there doing the awkward fist bump handshake with the winner is four-time World's Strongest Man Magnus Ver Magnusson. The event is called the Magnus Classic, and he comes to show support and host the event every year. I actually ended up missing most of the competition, but did get some cool shots of the competitors taking photos with fans afterwards. The Viking Village is one of the main attractions of the festival. It's a place where you can learn about how life was in the time of the Vikings and how early settlers lived. There are weapon demonstrations, cooking demonstrations, and lots of info about clothing too. My favorite part is that it's so obvious that lots of them are sweating and tired from sitting in leather and wool all day long. The place is mostly for kids and families, but it's a pretty cool walkthrough. For me, I find it so interesting to look at the history of towns and see where the people come from. If you were just walking past most of the stuff around Gimli, you would never know the history and stories that lie just beneath the surface. They hold this festival every year, so make sure you go check it out next summer, and you too can have an awkward handshake with the world's strongest man.